Now we will start with our first panel discussion of today. The topic will be National Education Policy 2020, making it more learner-centric or integration of technology and skill-based learning. Gracing this panel, I would first like to invite our moderator, Dr. Brijesh Karia, Chief Operating Officer, Singhania Education Service Limited. A big round of applause for sir, please. Next, we have Rajendra Indraman Singh, Managing Trustee and Vice President, Priyadarshani School and NISA, National Independent School and Alliance. Can we have a round of applause, please? Seema Negi, Principal, Sanjeevni World School, Mumbai. A big round of applause for ma'am, please. Prodipta Hore, Program Director, Aditya Birla Education Academy, Mumbai. A big round of applause, please. Payam Shoghi, Director, Riverdale International School, Pune. A very big round of applause for sir, please. Dr. Harshita Sharma, Founder Director, Brainstorm International, Pune. Dr. Kavita K. Roy, Principal, Oxford World School, Pune. A very big round of applause for sir and ma'am. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I think most of them have not had the tea. My problem is I'm a teacher by profession. So whenever I wish the students, usually the answer is very loud and clear. So let me try that one more time. Good morning, everyone. So what I'll do is, with the permission of the panel, if I can start with a small activity with the audience. And Seema ma'am is going to kill me because I keep doing the same activity everywhere. Yeah, so she's fed up of it by now, but I'll still try that with the audience. So let's try to pump some energy in the room. May I ask everyone to stand up, please? All of us? Yeah? So when I say 1, you have to stomp your right foot. Is that okay? Right foot, zor se. Right? So 1. Brilliant. When I say 2, you have to stomp your left foot. All right? 2. Super. When I say 3, you have to turn around and clap, not slap. Huh? Clap the person next to you, high five. Only one condition, it should be coordinated. Is that fine? All at once. So 3. Wow. That's the worst coordination I've seen in my life. Brilliant. I love that. So let's try that one more time. 3. Wow, I thought the previous one was worse. Let's do one thing. मैं आपको 5 सेकंड देता हूँ. आप decide कर लो आप किसको clap करने वाले हो, and then I'll say 3. Is that okay? If there's nobody next to you, just clap. Simple. If there's nobody next to you, just clap. Simple. Is that okay? So come on, 3. Brilliant. So now, do you want your children to listen to us clearly? So let me check whether you listen to me clearly or not. All right? So we are going to do all the 3 together. So come on, start. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3. One last time. Come on. 1, 2, 2. Were the instructions clear or not? So similarly, we give very clear instructions to children. They don't listen. It's okay. They are children. They are learning, as she said. Brilliant, brilliant. Round of applause for all of you all, please. Super. We have a wonderful, energetic audience. I'm sure the panel is going to be fun. We've got some of the best panelists and educationists sitting on the stage right now. We're going to try to pick their brains for next 30 minutes, and I'm sure it's going to be great fun. Can we have a round of applause for the panelists for taking out time and being with here early morning? I'm very, very grateful and thankful. Secondly, I'm very, very grateful and thankful to Elets. They're known for organizing some of the best conferences in the country. So can we have a round of applause for Team Elets as well, please? I think they're doing a great job for gathering all of us. And this is one thing that came positively out of COVID. I know it was a very bad time, but the kind of collaboration that I've seen in the education fraternity over the period of last 2.5 years, seminars, webinars, coming, sharing, मैं अपने school में ये कर रहा हूँ, why don't you try that, working in each other's schools. I think all of us have come together as a fraternity and done a great job. So can we have one last round of applause for all the teachers of this country who made sure that in those 2.5 years, education doesn't stop, which is very critical and important. So one overnight we realized that the school is the children and not the buildings anymore, and all of us have done a great job of it, right? So talking about NEP, a welcome change. After decades, we are getting a new policy. And I'm sure wherever I've gone and interacted with principals, one good thing that I'm noticing is hope and anticipation. anywhere, Any policy has its pros as well as cons, nobody is denying that. But majority, the beauty of this policy that I'm hearing is pros and pros and pros, because lots of things are going to change for the good. However, change management requires a lot of preparation. I'm sure all will agree. It's not that the policy has come and tomorrow onwards it will be implemented and our schools will become heaven all of a sudden. It will require a lot of effort from all of us, a lot of time from all of us, a lot of planned roadmap from all of us, and I'm sure it will get executed, right? So time to move to the panel and start asking the important questions where they can guide us on what they are. So starting with you, sir. Technology seeped into our life during the pandemic, right? Because pre-pandemic, I'm sure many principals were not in touch with that. So let me do a small survey before I start my question. How many of you all had never used Zoom before the pandemic? Zoom or Gmeet or Microsoft Teams, whatever. Wow, almost 70% of the audience. How many of you all are absolute champions at it now? Brilliant. I'm sure you can find the mischief of the child also who is doing what. Am I right? So see, this is what tech has done. It has connected us with the students at a better level. So sir, use of tech, what is your take on usage of technology? How useful it has been in the last 2.5 years? How has it changed the whole landscape of the country? Over to you, sir.
Hello. Good morning everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
So, technology last 2 years created a great jump, created a bridge. A lot of it is spoken on several webinars and meetings, so I'll not go into that. But technology as of now is fading little away like the masks. When I see a mask in my drawer yesterday, it looks like a historical epic. Maybe we'll use it or not use it. So all this platform created by the teachers, all the efforts. If you see right now, 27% of it is used in some of the schools. None of it is used in around 50% and more of schools. So gradually that platform is fading away. Or blended, as we spoke about a lot during COVID times, we had a lot of times, a lot of webinars, and it was easier to join from home. But the moment everything is coming in streamline, whether it's in IT industry or in schools and colleges, we don't know how to blend it. Not all of us, but a lot of us. So we have gone into the mainstream, the bell rings in the morning and the bell rings in the afternoon or in the evening and 4 o'clock, and that's off. So my take on this is, there's a lot of students who need support after school. A lot of students. We can't deny that fact. The students come from different areas of learning, or are different learners or learn differently. So can technology be blending in now as to support those students after school hours for some time is a good step to start. When I speak right now, I speak from the perspective of the whole state, from the rural, from the semi-rural, from the urban and everything. I know a lot of schools right now might be using technology and continue using it, but that's not the case in the state of Maharashtra as of now.
Brilliant. I think sir brings about a very, very balanced input. One is two takeaways that I would like to say from what sir said. One is the balance, because you have to cater to the whole spectrum, right from the most progressive schools to the most rural area schools. So how do you bring about that balance? Second, sir spoke about a very important number, that 27% are still using it and 50% and plus are still not using it. So that brings me to you, Seema ma'am. Sir spoke about blended learning, right? All of us know that blended learning definitely has some advantages. So if I try to focus on the positive side of it, A, what are the advantages that it brings to the table? B, the challenge has always been execution. So how do you go about executing blended learning in schools, given the different spectrums that we have?
So good morning, everyone. If we do not connect blended learning with technology, that doesn't mean that blended learning was not there before technology. So blended learning was always a part of our ecosystem when we talk about education, whether traditional mode or the modern mode. But when we talk about blended learning, which came in picture and the term became a buzzword during pandemic, because now technology was a tool which became a mandatory tool. So I knew this much bit my children will be learning in hybrid mode, in technologically driven mode, and this other bit is by the traditional method. See, when it comes to execution, I think difficulty and challenges were there initially. Those were initial hitches. and all the entire education fraternity. I think we sailed through that hitches, and then blended learning became like back of our hand.
Right.
And now we feel that it is part of the entire ecosystem. I will add to what Sir told. Something which is very important is whether it is blended learning or it is the traditional learning, are we really teaching our learners with the right value set? Today we are talking about blended learning. We are talking about technology. Few days back there was this news article about OpenAI and GPT chat.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Things are changing drastically. By the time we master something, I think our children have become more pro and they have moved ahead of blended learning. So what we need to take care is, whatever we are teaching, whatever is the medium, are the values intact? If that is not intact, then whichever way we are teaching, somewhere as an educator, we are not reaching out to the audience that is our learner in the right way. I would just like to add 2 lines.
Sure.
Shiksha Sheel Vinay Adarsh Shreshta. Sheel Vinay Adarsh Shreshta. तार बिना झंकार नहीं, शिक्षा क्या स्वर साज सकेगी यदि नैतिक आधार नहीं. If the values are not proper, then whatever we have taught, whether with the use of technology or the traditional classroom, somewhere all of us will fail. And we have seen that all of us can survive, we can thrive. Pandemic has taught us our own limit is there in our mind. We are limitless. But are we really using that power? We have the power. Go ahead with the power, and you are the one who are the change makers.
Brilliant, brilliant. Can we have a round of applause, please? I think beautiful. So 2 important takeaways from what ma'am shared. One is very important. As leaders, it's important for us to have the moral compass in place, because eventually without values, education is not going to be of any meaning, you know. I was at one of the conferences at Singapore last month, and one person brought out a very beautiful point. He says people who flew that plane into the Twin Towers in US, were they not educated? Some of them were engineers, they knew how to fly a plane. Then what was missing? The values. That's why it's a very pertinent point that you bring out, ma'am. Thank you so much. And second takeaway, blended learning was always there, is always going to be there. The means are going to change. Today it's technology, tomorrow it may be something else. So I'm sure all of us will have to keep up to speed with the trends, what is going on in the market. Thank you so much for those thoughts, ma'am. So coming to you, sir, very important when we're talking about change, eventually the first line of contact with the students in the school is the teachers, right? So many a times we have seen that while the leader has the vision, you know, and the plan to execute, the teachers sometimes, you know, basically, as I said, are not able to keep up to speed with that, or lack the means to basically execute certain things. So how important is involvement of a teacher while you're introducing new kind of techniques? Because eventually they are the ones who have to execute it. So what is your take on how do we train teachers for future tomorrow?
Thank you so much. Very good morning. I think I'm loud enough without the microphone. Yes, sir. First of all, you know, we as teachers have, some of us might be, have a mental block that, yes, we know that. I just don't need to learn anything new. The first thing is that we need to break that block. Now, of course, thanks to pandemic, though I know that there were n number of teachers who were not using technology in the classrooms. But after the pandemic, during the pandemic, they were forced to do that. And now they got pro into it and they feel that, yes,
Sir,
technology...
I have a request. The session is being recorded, so if you can use the microphone, it will be great for us.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Sorry for the trouble.
No worry.
But I love the baritone. Thank you. Please.
So, of course, the teachers need to be trained first. Now, and that urge should come not from the management. The management should not come to the teachers and tell them that you need to be trained on such and such areas. Why can't it come from the urge should come from the teachers themselves. They need to go and inform the management that these are the areas that I think I need to be trained on. But training is not the end of it. Now, I get trained on n number of things. The management takes the trouble of training me on different type of skills. Am I applying that skill in the class? Now, if I am applying that skill in the class, is there anyone checking on that whether the skill that I am applying is in a correct way or not? So what I feel is that it's high time that we need to form a teacher learning community. We call it a TLC, that we do it in our school. in every school, this teacher learning community should be formed, wherein the teachers should each other call their peers to their classroom. Need not be the coordinators, need not be the vice principals, no, not the principals. The peers can come to their respective classrooms and can observe the class and can give a positive or a negative feedback. But the teacher should have that open mind also to accept the negative remark also if there is any. I mean, at this particular point of time, I am learning. I am keeping myself on the student's place. So why can't I take something negative also in order to improve myself? So teacher upscaling is required for sure. The urge should come from the teachers, and then of course the application of it should compulsorily be done, and then only we can see that there is some changes taking place in the teaching learning pattern.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So 3 takeaways from what Sir said is what I am thinking. First is, I'm learning skills, but am I applying those? I think that's a very pertinent question to ask. Second, if I'm applying, is there somebody checking whether I'm doing it right or wrong? And third is, Sir spoke about a collaboration, having a teacher learning community. In fact, this is a fantastic idea, 3 or 4 schools can come together, form their own center of excellence, their own teachers can be working together, sharing of ideas. I think that's a beautiful point that you brought up. Thank you so much, Sir. So coming to you, Sir, now the agenda also talks about skill-based education. And we've been noticing that many people who pass out school, especially post grade 12, once they enter the real life, what they've learned and what is existing, there's a huge difference usually many of the times. And that's why government is seriously thinking about introducing skill-based subjects. In fact, we have seen gold medalists, chartered accountants, you put them on a stage, they're not able to speak a word. So basically the talent is there, the skill is lacking, some of the other. So how do you, as I said, Sir, envisage introduction of skill education? And as an educationist, how can we make it successful? Your take on that, Sir.
Good morning, everyone. Well, in continuation of all that we're saying, to put everything together and come to the point that you're mentioning, first I want to mention something about technology.
Sure, would love to.
Technology has 2 aspects. One is the push factor, the other is the pull factor.
Right.
The COVID pandemic taught us the pull factor. I need something, therefore I look around, I go and get it. But most of the time we have vendors who come to us and say, well, we have this wonderful product and this will help you this manner. And there's this push factor. And then somebody feels that it's needed, we take that, we experiment with it, and it works, it doesn't work, and then half-heartedly somehow. So the pull factor is the most important thing. If there is a need, you'll go out and get it. So this is about my take on...
Brilliant.
The other thing about teacher training and upgrading, I think it all boils down to the mindset of the teacher. The example of Eklavya. He wanted something, he went ahead and did. Though the teacher was not willing to train him and teach him, he went ahead and got it. So the question is, do we do things because we want to or because we have to? So many times in the classroom, teachers do because something they have to. They are mandated, there's a lesson plan, there are reports to be given, you have to do this, and that's all they do. They are limited to just doing that. But if there's a teacher, somehow we motivate the teacher that wants to do things differently, they will go get their own training, they will get themselves upgraded, they will find the resources, and they will do things differently. So this is the background. I'll give you an example. The topic of discussion today is student-centered learning within the context of NEP. And I was hoping that we'll be talking a little bit about that. Because the students that pass out and the kind of scenario that you were saying comes from there. So I think the question we have to ask is, what is student-centered learning? And how does technology come in? Now, technology is an enabler. It is a force multiplier. But provided the basics are in place. Now, what are the basics for example, student-centered learning? I'll give you a few pointers. Our class periods are between 35 minutes to 45 minutes, whereas the average attention span of children is between 7 to 15 minutes. Now, why is that? Because the teacher needs that time to complete a particular lesson. Now, we are not thinking about the students, so it's more teacher-centric. The manner in which we seat the students in the class is, again, for the convenience of the teacher. Whereas we know the children learn better through promotive face-to-face interaction. They need to see each other and they look at each other, they learn better. But again, this is more teacher-centric. Now, there are exceptions, but generally this is how it is. Our assessments have been oversimplified to help the teacher to grade students and say who's done well, who's not done well, without taking into account students' abilities and the effort that children have put in. So it's again teacher-centered. A very simple, basic thing. Teachers use a red pen to mark the written work of children, and we know what red color stands for, and what does it do to the confidence of children, to their own mindsets over a period of time. So really we need to ask ourselves, so the children who pass out from the school and they go into society are carrying all those negative ideas with them because we are not willing to look at things differently. And this idea of student-centered learning is not unique to NEP 2020. We've been talking about it for decades, notably NCF of 2005 and before that even, but we still haven't been able to. So I think it's a question of conviction. The more space the teacher yields to the students, the more students will come in and start doing things on their own. And we'll be better off for it.
I think they have to be facilitators more than teachers.
We will be better off for it. Children learn better. Teacher also actually spends more time in doing things that are relevant and more useful. Perfect. So the future of the children who are passing out will depend on how differently we start doing things today.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Round of applause, please. A very, very pertinent point that Sir brought out, which was going to be my next question. Before I move to that, I think that's where the education in India originated, the Gurukul system. The student was the center of it all, the heart of it all. And eventually that's when he was groomed for life. So that's what we are talking about. So moving on to you, ma'am. So we are basically talking about the student-centric approach, Wherever usually the plans are made, A is the syllabus, whether it is completed on time. The parent is interested whether the child is getting my marks or not, he's doing good sports or not. So child is usually, left behind. So my next question is, what are the best practices that a school can think of where a child can become a center of attention? So if you can basically share 2 or 3 practices which can be helpful to all of us, where the child will come to the fore, so teacher will not be a sage on the stage, he'll be a guide by the side, that is what we are looking at. So how do you facilitate that, ma'am?
Okay. So very happy morning to all of you. I think, thank you for that question, because when we talk about anything, we always, as a school, I think the 3 key stakeholders are, again, the management, you have teachers, and you have the parents, and the center is a child. So when we're talking about child-centric approach, now, professional development for the teachers is ongoing process which is there. But the important stakeholders, when we talk about the parents, we say the school that, okay, we are doing because the parents want this thing and the parents want that thing and the guidelines are given to them. How often we think of why not even the parents who have not got the professional degree to be a parent should also have some sessions in the school which should be intensive and not the guidelines which is there, to tell them that what we are doing and why we are doing. And then teacher talking about not teaching what and how she's teaching, then she can focus. Because her antenna is always on, what to teach, how to complete. But how to teach child, where the learning styles are mapped with the pedagogies what we are using. How often we have understood even the learning style of teachers as well, right? So if we have an assessment on, children, and why not the teachers who are brilliant and they are like the gold mine and there's so much to share, why can't we shift the mental model, right, of the thought process from where this is how it should operate and have something where this is what is the best for the child, what we are doing, and this is the way we are doing it. So if that approach changes, rather than just, because we have to do this because the parents need this, and we have to do this, we have to complete this because management want us to complete, and in the center is child. So if we just look at the center and work around the circle, right, I think that could, I would bring a lot of clarity to the chaos of what we are just moving around the circle, which is very, very important. And yes, as parents, many of them are not even aware of what even at least the teachers are reading a lot of research, knowing, attending the sessions. Parents really don't know, because the gap of the schooling between their school and the child's school is minimum 25 years. So for them, what they have learned, and they expect that, and not aware of many things. So if they are taken into consideration, I think it would go a long way. Have a professional development for the parents, right? So you have the B.Ed and you have the P.Ed for the, maybe for the parents, because that's where the whole issue is rolling around. We're doing this only for that. So I think that would take care of a lot of things. Parents in the rural areas, and there are some places where the resources are not available in terms of, some parents might say that I don't know how to do this. I was not good at maths and I am a good businessman, but I still want my child to do it. I don't have so much of a support. So maybe the technology, when we are all talking about, morning we had a beautiful presentation, a small QR code, which I can say NEP is already talking about, right? For the parents, maybe in a week, a small video with the QR code, which is easily accessible, can be also, because NEP is already talking about. I think that would take care of a lot of things, because after COVID, now the challenges what we were facing, and the challenges with the behavior and other aspects where a child is learning, it is beyond, I would say, our imagination. Because when we did so well in online space, we were expecting children coming and doing very nicely. I think the first 3 months, when we talk about June, July, August, and we've seen a completely different picture. And that's where the entire thing started again focusing on, should we use the technology?
I'm going to have to give you a 30-second heads up. Sorry,
Yeah.
we'll have to, my apologies.
Yeah. Right, so just I would say that have a fair balance among all the stakeholders, and see that where we focus on the center and have that space which is divided very well, rather than pointing out.
I think I love the analogy where you're bringing all stakeholders together, the management, the teachers, the parents, a golden triangle, and at the center of it, the child.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will work wonders, right? So ma'am, you brought about a very important aspects, and I'll lead that question to you, ma'am. Ma'am spoke about communication, so we spoke about 21st century skills many a times. Communication is one of the most important ones, critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and that is on one hand. Second hand, the skills like coding, AI, which are being introduced by the various boards and councils across the country. So how do you see introduction of skill education, not only in terms of the technical skills, but the 21st century skills? Because that is where, if I think, I just want to have a question for the audience first. How many of you are first rankers of your times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In an audience of, I think, 50, so 10%. How many of you are doing much better than the first rankers of your times? Brilliant. So because they were street smart, right? So how do you make your children ready for life with the help of 21st century skills, ma'am? That's very critical.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. As the question is being asked, like 21st century skills which has to be enhanced, the first thing which we have to teach our learners is art of questioning. When I say art of questioning, they should have a clarity of Bloom's taxonomy. I hope everyone sitting here is aware about this. So we have to teach them that they have to move from lots to hots. When I say lots, low order thinking skills has to be enhanced and taken to a higher level, that is high order thinking skills. That is the first thing. The second thing, with the inception of NEP, we have also learned how to frame the questions, and the questions has to be competency-based questions. When I say competency, it is a beautiful amalgamation of knowledge and skill. So those are the things which we have to teach our teachers as well. Rather, as it is being spoken by many of the eminent speakers out here, that CPD is something which is going to help the teachers to be equipped to frame the questions which will be hovering around CBQ, that is competency-based question. In that ways, if the teachers are being equipped well with framing the right question and completing the entire cycle by giving an effective feedback. When a parent comes and see the assessment paper, they are landing up with some number out of whatever the child might have scored. But a teacher should be well equipped to give a effective feedback, and the feedback should not be just good, very good, or average. It should end up with a solution that what best should be coming up and what we can do or we can implement the strategies has to be given. It is similar like meeting a doctor wherein the prescription is being given and the timings are also being provided when you have to take it, and it comes up with a learning outcome as well, that yes, by so and so days the problem will be resolved. So in the similar way, a teacher also works. But this entire process will only be effectively implemented when a leader is well equipped with these things and disseminating the right information at the right time to the educators. We can't just say that the teacher should do this or that, but the leader should be well equipped to disseminate the right information at the right time so that we can expect that the teachers can do wonders. And in the similar way, the entire cycle works and we can enhance the 21st century skills.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I love the word that you spoke there, ma'am, feedback. I think communication really helps. I've seen generally in my 20 years of experience, schools that communicate better, perform better, is what I've seen, because they are, their staff is very clear, okay, this is communicated to me, this is my role. Parents are very clear, this is what's going to happen in the school. So when there's lack of communication, that is where the initial problems start to arise. So I think, can we have a huge round of applause for the first round of answers? I think all of them were brilliant. Unfortunately, the problems are plenty, points are plenty, but we have only 35 to 40 minutes to discuss. So I'm sure we'll not be able to deep dive into each of the problems. However, I think they've shared their best. It's like a TEDx talk, you get 3 minutes and you put your best thoughts forward. So I think all of them have done that absolutely well and articulated the points brilliantly, right? So moving on to the next round of questions, rapid fire. All of you get 60 seconds each. It's going to be a very generic question. Put your creative hats on and give me a creative answer. Simple as that, right? So sir, I just like to first have a round of applause for sir, because he's on the state panel for NEP implementation. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes from him after the rapid fire is over to share his thoughts on how the NEP is practically going to be implemented, sir, right? So sir, if you were made the Education Minister of India for one day, what is one change that you would love to bring about on that day? You have 60 seconds.
One change.
Yes.
First, I'll give the right place, the right importance for private schools in the state of Maharashtra, because 60% of education, 60% of key players in education are private schools. And the most important thing in the second, I'll rectify the implementation of RT as it is done in the state of Maharashtra.
Brilliant. I think very practical points, sir, is brought to the fore. Thank you so much, sir. Ma'am, if you are made in charge of implementing the NEP in India, what would you like to start with?
Start with the student, because they are the heart and core of everything. I'll just go back to the Nalanda days when our country was known as one of the best destinations to come and learn. We were the knowledge giver. I would have implemented NEP the same way, wherein people from all over the world will come to India to seek knowledge rather than the brain.
And I'm sure that day is not far away. The way the educationists of the country are working, I'm sure it's not a very distant reality. I'm very sure. Sir, one practice that you feel should not exist in the Indian education system, and if you are responsible, you could abolish it overnight. What is it that you would want to do?
Assessment.
Wow, wow. The students are going to love you, sir. Brilliant. One word answer conveyed a lot. So one practice that you feel is missing in the Indian education system should be there, which is not there today, sir.
If I was in any position of authority, I would make sure that schools implement cooperative learning. Now, mind you, cooperative learning is nothing that we are familiar with. It's not collaborative learning, it's not group work, it's a highly structured thing that will answer a lot of questions that NEP has presented before us, a lot of challenges. Cooperative learning, Google it, please try to find out more about it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing out a new perspective for all of us. Ma'am, one subject you feel you should have been taught as a child, which you are not. Which is that subject?
Okay, I would say that the nature, in terms of I learned the science, but connecting with the nature with a different way, and the stories, which I think we are all talking about the value-based here. So the few of the stories which I felt that I wish I had it in the school rather than just having the Western stories, I think that would help me to learn that thing, connecting with the nature, giving me that little free time in being myself, the self-awareness, reflecting, which was very, very important, because it's just doing all the time, but did I had that little, and connecting the sensitivity towards the, I would say, the environment. So when we're talking about so much of environment which was there, why it couldn't be like where I could really do it the way.
So experiential learning.
Yeah, experiential inclusivity rather than having it a separate thing which is there. So yes. So we were not even aware of that.
Right.
We all were included without being, inclusive.
Fine.
So,
Thank you so much for that. So ma'am, what is one subject that you feel children of today should be taught that will be helpful to them 10 years, 15 years from now, that they are not being taught currently?
Technology.
Oh, brilliant. I think that's,
So that's
a very
the one.
nice word to put.
So because with one particular fact that technology is never ever going to replace the great educators. Great educators, when they are skilled with technology, they can lead to transformation. How many ever Gs will be coming? 2G, 3G, 4G. Guruji will never be replaced.
Brilliant.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
So let's all pray to Rabji that Guruji gets even stronger. Simple as that, right? So I firmly believe that no technology can replace a teacher, but a teacher with good technology will be miles ahead of a teacher who doesn't know technology. I think that's a great thing. A big round of applause for all our panelists, right? So sir, I would like to, as I said, you have to take 2 minutes to brief our audience because you're on the panel, on the state panel which is going to implement the NEP. So what are the changes that we can foresee in the immediate future?
2 minutes is a very short time, but
I know,
make
sir, but
justice,
unfortunately.
whatever. Yeah. So we have 305 lakh schools in India, where around 8.7 crore students teach. These are private schools. Our market share in education, school education, is around 47.5%. If you add up the private aided schools, then it is 11.1, it crosses 60%. When it comes to implementation of NEP, the SCRT has made 297 tasks points, matlab action points, already done in the last year. NEP is being interpreted differently by every state. The most alarming interpretation is in Andhra Pradesh, where Andhra Pradesh has formed the SSSC. I am sure that you have a background of what SSSC is, the state school regulatory board, the regulatory board which is formed under the NEP. So the State School Standard Authority, the SSSA in AP, has controlled not only the fees and finances of the schools in Andhra Pradesh, but also the appointment of teachers. So NEP is understood differently by different states and the implementation is different. The most alarming thing in SSSA is the safety in schools. The safety norms. Now, how many schools can have the fire tender moving around your school? So if that safety norms comes in, most of you will not have the Swayam Manyata or will not continue to have Swayam Manyata. So it's a very complicated thing, and the way the previous government was understanding, I'm so sorry, they were more or less clueless about this, but this present government which has come into force is into a mood of implementation of the thing.
Policy. Yeah.
Of the policy. The first step towards policy in the state of Maharashtra would be accreditation. So accreditation will be the first step, and ISA, the Independent English School Association, and the NISA, the National Association, we have stepped in the state of Maharashtra. And what we have done is we have milded down the accreditation to learning outcomes only. Pointing out towards the KSA, the key stage assessments in 3, 5 and 8, we have molded it into a form of learning outcomes only. One thing most importantly will happen after the implementation, because there's just 2 minutes time, is schools and government will lose control. Schools will lose control because all your finances will be made public mandatorily. Now, there's no problem of finances made public. We anyway every year audit our trust and online put it on the charity. So the charity commissioner and we are aware there is an authority who checks that no stifling, other things are done by the schools. But when it comes to a public forum, innumerous number of NGOs, parents are going to look at and interpret it in their own way, which will create another problem which we have in raising fees every alternate year. So there is a big complexity there. Along with the safety standards, government might ask you to do it in your schools. Some of your buildings might be very old, 15 years, 10 years. You can't change your building structures right now. And thirdly, importantly, when government is losing control because the Director of Education and the Education Department are only meant to policy making, and the whole power goes to SSSA. So this is the bottleneck at both the ends, why NEP is slowed down in the state of Maharashtra in implementation. What could be now, in the last 20, 30 seconds, what could be possibly done, like in other states, the government doesn't lose the power, means the Department of Education doesn't lose the power, but you lose the power of appointment of teachers, salary of teachers, appointment of principals, to showing your finances to public. That could be the possibility, because all of us come into minority. We are all come into minority. When it comes to vote bank, we are mentioned as minorities. So, to close the statement, see, a rickshaw union can do anything in Pune and get their rights done because they are all united. Because they know the power of mobocracy, which is greater than democracy. But schools are so fragmented into their own shells that they can't come up front into one powerful placement and tell them that RTE or NEP should be implemented in this right sense to save education.
So I think the need of the hour is collaboration more than ever. Yeah, so I think it's very important. So I would request Seema ma'am to conclude the panel for us with a nice couplet or a motivational story quickly.
No, what sir said that made me thinking. Just a quick question. How many of you have seen Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra? There are
on
three.
TV. On TV, yes.
Okay, there are three important elements, and that is what I have gathered from everyone. One is the chariot wherein Lord Krishna, Balram and Subhadra they sit. One component of people who are pulling the chariot, and third the mob who is cheering for that. Now since we are talking about child-centric education, imagine your children are sitting on the chariot. So when your parents will pull the chariot, you as school cheer for them. And when you as school, you are pulling the chariot, let your parents cheer for you. And trust me, this collaboration is the way wherein behind every child will stand a visionary school and a supportive parent. And that is what NEP desires.
Super. Thank you so much. Please, let's have a huge round of applause for all the panelists. So we had a short 40-minute stint, but I'm sure everyone has put their points beautifully. We have exact 5 minutes to go. I would like to take a couple of questions from the audience so that our panelists can answer them, right? Couple of questions max. We have got 5 minutes left with us. So 2 questions. Anybody wants? So I'm sure this is like a typical classroom. You know, all are looking at each other. Pehle kaun pooch rahe? We have Abhishek sir. Abhishek sir, over to you. I'll come down there personally.
So my question to Prodipta ji, because you know, like you spoke about teacher development. So my question is, like teacher and a normal teacher everywhere, I would consider the population is highly female-centric. So the inner teacher is mostly first daughter-in-law, then a wife, then a mother, then a daughter, and then a teacher. So this is one of the core issues, like when we discuss all these things in a panel, we don't understand that our expectations are too high for them. So how to deal with it? Like that's the question that I want to ask.
If you can take that, sir.
That's a wonderful question, Abhishek, and we do come across this type of queries from different teachers across the country. Now, the first thing is that, we need to find out the time. Which time exactly suits the teachers. So, when we work it out, we realize that every school, more or less, generally, like with the students going out of the school at the end of the day, the teachers also don't move out simultaneously. Okay. So if that could be extended a little, might be just an hour, so that the teachers within the school hours, or might be extended by just about an hour, can complete that professional development in the school itself and then move on. So then the person does not need to give specific hours after in the evenings, nor on the weekends. If that could be a possibility, then I think so. It could be taken care of.
Thank you. I would like to add one word, sir. She is a teacher, mother, daughter-in-law, And she's a magician. I think the teachers, they weave magic in the classrooms. I mean, although we have all achieved something in our life, I'm sure all of us still remember our alma mater very fondly. That's the kind of impact that they've left on us. Thank you so much for that question, sir. And thank you so much for that answer.
Another
Ma'am,
part
we are running late. I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short, sir. One more question, please, and then we'll wind up the panel. One more question. I think, see, whenever there's silence in the auditorium, that means two things. Either you've understood everything, or you've understood nothing. Which is the case here? First or second? First. I'm happy. Yeah, question to you. Over to you, ma'am.
Sir, we are listening about NEP since 2020, right? There are various boards like a state, CBSE, IC, IB. How are they going to execute this NEP? Like, everybody knows NEP is a one state, right? And there are various boards. How are we going to execute it in terms of the various curriculums wherein we are already executing the things? So is there any key point which will be given to every board which they need to follow? Because every board has a various aspects of doing like execution and the evaluation and judging the things. So I'm still have a question mark, though I'm attending NEP sessions at various areas. How are we going to execute in terms of various boards?
So, in the prior discussion, nothing is finalized, but in the prior discussion, the SAC board, if you are concerned with the state of Maharashtra, would be the KSA, the key stage assessments, means they will only do the KSA, key stage assessment, and CBSE will supersede everything. Because CBSE was also given all the action points a triple SA needed, which CBSE has now stepped down from making, the triple SA pointing and action points. But the point is, if this is the government is moving towards this side, that means if SAC gets the KSA, that means it is abolished and CBSE supersedes everything.
Perfect. So I think that's going to be the central benchmark, which and then other councils will follow lead on that. Thank you so much, everyone. Sure. One last, please.
I just have a question. Sir, you are working on the NEP and the CBSE is going to supersede the things. There are two different bodies conducting the examination for professional entries. Like one is the CBSE conducting the +2 exams, as well as the national board is conducting for the entrance examinations. In that, all the sitting delegates and speakers here, they know what's the state of education in 11th and 12th standard in our country. So any guidelines for that in the NEP or any action is going to take against that, because the NEP is talking about 9 to 12 standard continuation. There is a threat in the school that now the students are not seen in the 11th and 12th standard in the school. The students will go from the 8th standard to the coaching classes and they won't come in the school. That's the threat and in the discussion. So any guideline, anything about that, you can give me answer.
We had the same question to the parliamentaries. We gathered all the parliamentaries in New Delhi, of including the state of Maharashtra, and we gave them a plus and minus of KSA. KSA versus board examination. Now KSA is 358, where 3 is answered, the child is supposed to answer a question paper not based on the curriculum of 3rd standard, but of 1, 2, 3. And all the key concepts, higher order skills and applications of what he has learned. Great. But at the same time, the child fails to acknowledge and the aspiration to have the board examination, to get marks and to get to another subject, this whole aspiration is killed. Board examinations might create stress, but it creates a tremendous aspiration to what you want to be in life. So that's what we have put that on hold, not only in state of Maharashtra, but all across India.
Great, thank you so much.
We can't come up with an
I'm
KSA,
sure
right?
sir is going to have a lot of questions, but we'll take those offline, right? Because otherwise organizers are going to drag. Ma'am, you'll have to take that offline. I'm really sorry. My apologies. My personal apologies, ma'am. So I'd like to conclude very, very swiftly. Yes, as I said, change is inevitable. Yes, change is going to be difficult. But yes, I'm optimistic on the India story. I'm sure we have all overcome challenges. I'm all sure that nobody would have envisaged that such a pandemic is going to hit us for 2 years, and still we overcame it with all our might. So I'm sure with better discussions, better collaboration, whatever is coming our way, as a fraternity, I'm sure we'll get through it much, much, much stronger, bigger, and better on the India story. So round of applause to all of you. You've been a wonderful audience as well. I think one of the most interactive panels that I have done. Thank you so much. Can we request the organizers to please felicitate our honorable panelists? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking us through the various aspects of NEP and giving us the importance of questions and how parents are important in students' growth and development. Thank you so much, Dr. Brijesh Karia, sir, for moderating this panel in the most interactive and interesting way. Now I would like to invite Krishna Singh Mishra to please come on the stage for giving memento to our fellow panelists. Dr. Kavita K. Roy, Principal, Oxford World School, Pune. A big round of applause for ma'am, please. Dr. Harshita Sharma, Founder Director, Brainstorm International, Pune. Payam Shoghi, Director, Riverdale International School, Pune. Prodipta Hore, Program Director, Aditya, Birla Education Academy. A big round of applause, please. Seema Negi, Principal, Sanjeevni World School, Mumbai. A very big round of applause for ma'am, please. Rajendra Indraman Singh, Managing Trustee and Vice President, Priyadarshani School and NISA. Dr. Brijesh Karia, Chief Operating Officer, Singhania Education Services Limited. A very big round of applause for sir, please. Can we have a group picture, please?